It's a matter of opinion if I'm right, but I'm leaving no for now to go outside, putting chores and obligations on our part.
So we're going to switch gears on a topic that we covered last week, which was a woman on a SEPTA train. It showed that a police punching her and wound up tasing her, and they were saying that this was over 50 cents.
There is outrage over the arrest of a 24-year-old woman at SEPTA's Frankfurt Transportation Center. Video showing an officer hitting that woman in her head. And a short time later, on that same piece of video, an officer is seen using a taser on that lady. Action News reporter Dan Cuellar spoke to the woman's family. They say they want the officers involved to be held accountable.
Protesters this evening tried to block the Route 88 SEPTA bus from passing through at the Frankfurt Transportation Center, trying to send a message.
Making sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. For 50 cents is unnecessary.
Relatives identify the woman in the altercation with transit police as 24-year-old Jocelyn Dallas. Cell phone video circulating online shows that at about 9:30 Wednesday morning, SEPTA police were trying to arrest her. One officer hitting her in the head, something protesters say was wrong.
There's no way that we can teach our kids not to put their hands on women. I don't think this is a black or white thing, or us versus the cops. We don't want people to get that message.
Later in the video, another officer tells her she has 5 seconds to comply or he's going to tase her. Watch. He eventually tases her after she gets up to run.
How they tell her in the video to get up, and then you turn around and tase her. Where's that fear? You told her to run.
A SEPTA spokesman says this all began after the woman, who has a long history of doing this, put 3 pennies in the fare box for a $2.50 fare. They say after 6 minutes of yelling at the driver and refusing to get off, the driver contacted transit police. The spokesman says she kicked one of the officers in the chest and bit another one. They have video of this, but declined to release it because it's under investigation by Internal Affairs.
Does she have mental issues? Because they're saying that
No, she does not. No, she doesn't.
She doesn't have any mental issues?
No.
Do you believe that excessive force was still used for this woman?
Okay, so the problem is, now that we know she kicked and she bit an officer, I feel like it's not excessive, but I do feel like I want to see the beginning of this video, because I feel like if she bit him while sitting on the bench, that's something different. Well, that's what I'm saying. If she kicked him and she bit him while he was sitting there, then yes, you kicked me and you bit me, yes, I'm punching you in the head. Because to me, that is exuding the same amount of force. But if you kicked me and bit me on the bus and then I got you seated and then I punched you, then that's something completely different. Because if you had to wait for 2 people to hold me to punch me, that is a problem. But if I kicked you and I bit you while I was being held, then that's something completely different.
Okay. Like I said, the only thing that we saw was somebody seen what was going on and turned their phone camera on. Now, if I'm going by what they're reporting, they're saying that she bit and kicked them. Then yeah, they had every right to use whatever force, drastic measures. Because at this point, you assaulted a police officer. So if you assaulted an officer, they have every right to bring you in. So if they're trying to handcuff you or whatever the case may be, at this point they can use whatever force that's not lethal to bring you in.
Correct.
So,
and then 2, she's a repeat offender. Like that to me bothers me. If you have a history of throwing 3 pennies in the machine, guess what? I don't believe you that you only didn't throw in 50 cents. Matter of fact, you should have put a whole nother $1 in to cover some of them times you only threw 3 pennies in the machine at this point.
Now, when we made this video discussing it, June said something good, something that stood out to me. June from Hold Up, Hear Me Out though. He said, yo, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, yo, just to let her skate for that 50 cents and you start letting everybody skate through, at what point, like, you got to have some kind of like system in place where you don't have people doing this stuff trying to skate by, so to speak. You get what I'm saying? So you do have to enforce the law where it's like, yo, now I could understand, hey, there's the last $2 I have on me. In cases like that, I wouldn't see why a bus driver, even if like I'm coming home from work and I'm like, look, bus driver, this is all I have. Is it okay? Most bus drivers will be like, you know what? I'll let you go this time. For him not to have done that to me, that stands out with the whole repeat offender thing. Because if somebody just get on and that's their last $2 or whatever the case may be, you'll usually let them slide. But if you start seeing a repeated pattern, that's when I would see a person go through that effect of, yo, get off the bus and wind up calling the police. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
That's
and
not something
but
that
you have to
somebody
think
just
about it
do.
too. 9 times out of 10, this person is on the same route, so she may not always have the same bus driver, but these drivers probably talk to each other.
Yeah,
And
of
after a
course.
while, it's like, yo, did you see she look like this? Did
Mhm.
did she put lustin in the machine too? Because
Yeah.
it's like, it's one thing when it's one time, you're like, okay. But when you start saying, obviously she a repeat. They got her on video doing it. Somebody knows she was throwing 3 pennies in the machine. So they probably looking at the count, looking at videos, after a while, it's like, it's the same person. Hold up. We need to do something at this point. So if we're on the lookout now it's like, okay, all of the drivers is notified. Yo, you may have a problem with this passenger. Go on ahead and call. So I feel like the bus driver did what he was supposed to do. The cops, with all of the other information coming out, did what they were supposed to do at this point. It's you got to get arrested. You keep stiffing this machine. What am I supposed to do? And if you claim you had money in your pocket, it was nothing for you to put another dollar in. Because if you put the other dollar in, I guarantee the cops would have just kept it moving.
The way I stand with it, with the information given, I don't see the police officers were in the wrong. I'm giving that trust factor with what's being reported. So I hope to see a video soon to back up what they're saying. So that's where I'm giving my judgment on now, saying that excessive force wasn't used. They used appropriate force. Where do you
Correct.
stand with that?
I also stand the same way, but I want to see the police video. I also want to see some videos off of the buses.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I want to make sure that they got the right person, that they're saying, hey, she's notorious for throwing in 3 pennies. The only way that I'm going to know that is if I can get some of it. Don't have to be the full one, but at least a couple different buses with a couple different timestamps, because at least you had her under investigation at that point.
It's a matter of opinion.